The muscles of the dorsum of the foot. There's really only two muscles of the dorsum of the foot, and if you learn the muscles of the anterior leg, you should have a really good idea of what these muscles are. Because in the anterior leg, we had the extensor digitorum longus, and we've talked about anatomy. If you have a longus, you must have a brevis. And we also had an extensor hallucis longus, so that means there should be an extensor hallucis brevis. If we look on the dorsum of the foot, we can see here there's 1, 2, 3 slips of muscle that leave from the calcaneus and some of the connective tissue in the area, and they actually go out to digits 4, 3, and 2 as the extensor digitorum brevis muscles on the dorsum of the foot. The fifth or the fourth muscle that we see here comes from essentially the same area. However, it passes over to join the tendon to the large toe, the big toe, called the hallux. This would be the extensor hallucis brevis muscle that we can see deep to the tendons of the extensor digitorum. So extensor hallucis brevis to the big toe, and then the extensor digitorum brevis to digits 2, 3, and 4. None of those associated with digit 5. The muscles of the plantar surface of the foot are actually divided into 4 different layers. However, on this model, we cannot distinguish the different layers, so they didn't make anything removable. So we have to rely on our knowledge of where the muscles go so that we can determine what we have. Now, on the bottom of the foot, the first thing we have is a very thick connective tissue called the plantar fascia, and that's what this gray area here represents. And there's a sharp border right here where they've cut that and removed the plantar fascia. Immediately deep to that plantar fascia, we see the muscle known as the flexor digitorum brevis. Remember, flexor digitorum longus was one of the muscles in the posterior compartment of the leg. That was the muscle that we nicknamed Dick, the flexor digitorum longus. This is flexor digitorum brevis. Notice it divides into 4 muscle tendons, 1, 2, 3 here, or 1, 2, 3, and the 4th here, which go to digits 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the flexor digitorum brevis. On either side, that muscle is flanked by abductor muscles. To the big toe, we see the abductor hallucis muscle. Notice it goes to the medial side of the big toe. It does not go under the big toe. So the abductor hallucis muscle. Notice no longus or brevis here. On the lateral side, we have the abductor digiti minimi. Notice it goes to the lateral side of the little toe. It does not go below the middle toe. That will allow these muscle fibers to pull the little toe away from the rest of the foot, abduction. As on the medial side with the abductor hallucis, because it goes to the medial side of the big toe, will pull the big toe away from the rest of the foot. Now, wedged between the flexor digitorum brevis and the abductor digiti minimi, we see the flexor digiti minimi, the flexor digiti minimi muscle right here, only going to the little toe. Notice it is under the foot, so it will be flexion of the big toe, or the little toe, not abduction. And the same is true on the other side. Here we can see the tendon of the flexor hallucis longus, and just deep to that tendon we see the muscle belly of the flexor hallucis brevis. The remainder of these muscles that we see here are actually lumbrical muscles, which are part of the second plantar layer of the foot. And the remainder of the plantar layer of the foot we cannot see in this model, so I will not discuss it here.